Hello, found footage fans, and welcome to We Found a Tape.
Tape Talks.
Welcome to Tape Talks, a special new series from We Found a Tape. Here we sit down with directors, filmmakers and cinematographers to deep dive into the creative process behind found footage filmmaking, from writing and shooting to the journey of bringing these unique stories to life.
We're joined here today by a couple of special guests that we have. The director, writer, actors of the movie Jim's Room. We're joined by Mike Masurkevitch and Zac King. Thank you very much for joining us both, guys.
Yeah, thank you for having us. Very cool.
It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. We watched Jim's Room and had a hell of a time watching it. So much so I left a worded review on Letterboxd to say
I saw that. Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
This was a harrowing experience, and it was fantastic. It was a great time. So first, I want to just say congratulations to the both of you for this.
Thank you.
One thing I was very curious about, especially with this day and age, is sort of where were some of the influences for Jim's Room, for the character and for the story.
That's a good story. Zach, do you want me to talk about the character and you talk about how we came up with it?
Yeah, sounds good to me. Jim we pulled a lot for Jim and like his story. We did back in the day we used to do a podcast talk show kind of deal, dealing with Canadian politics called Canadian Love. And doing that, we interviewed a lot of people suffering from homelessness and a lot of people who were out there struggling and dealing with a lot of the same things that Jim does in the film. And so we really wanted to pull some of that. There's a lot of in my late teens and early 20s, I dealt with a lot of addiction stuff. I was addicted to painkillers. So we tried to implement some of that in there as well. And yeah, and like the whole, I want to film you to show others that we can do good things. It's kind of like those social experiments that you see all over YouTube these days. It's like, or back in the day, I guess it's not so much anymore, but it's people who pretend to help people for clout. And so like a lot of those were the influences for that, but it really started as a joke. I was moving at the time and we were getting ready to renovate my house. And Michael helped us move some stuff to the new place. And I was like, hey, Mike, you want to paint my house? And he was like, if we film it. And so we did.
I think the detail on that is, at the time, it had been a while since I had a gig that asked me to cut my hair. So I had this long hair and this long beard. So I was like, well, kind of jokingly, I'll paint your house if we make a movie about it. Then we all just started throwing ideas around, and then someone was like, well, Michael, you look homeless. What if we make a movie where, it's a guy from the street painting a room, and then we'll just film you painting the room. And we were kind of like, wait a second, like, we're pretty twisted. What if he's kidnapped and all this other stuff? But the character... So we did the interviews, and we kind of had that going in. But I actually I had a friend who was suffering from homelessness, and it's just a beautiful, tragic story. And he took his own life like 6 months before we decided we were going to make this movie. And then and I was like, well, that sucks, but like I didn't really take time to process it, because I don't know who takes time to process emotions. And then when we were writing this, I realized that that there was a lot of that I needed this character and this script to process the feelings about the passing of my friend Jason. So a lot of the little details of Jim, like his mannerisms, kind of he's got sort of like this wheezy, gravelly voice, and some of the details about like just living up north and stuff are from my friend. So it started out as a joke, but then it very quickly became deeply personal. to write and act as this character.
It definitely comes across. I will say that. It was such a strong performance by you. Genuinely, you really are rooting for Jim as part of this movie, and you're seeing him, being vulnerable and taken advantage of, and it's just an awful experience that you can only think of as in a nightmare, really. And that performance was incredible, Mike. So I just want to first say like that.
Thank you,
sure.
John.
And
Thank you.
I noticed the end. There was a memorial for Jason. So, of course, condolences for that, for sure. That's it's not an easy thing to go through, but it's quite inspiring that you've then turned that pain into something so marvelous.
Yeah. Thank you. I think he'd be into it. I think he'd be happy that element of his story got told.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was also curious. You mentioned there about a script. Was there a considerable script that you both had written together, or was there a lot of improv, pulling some of these stories in together?
Lots of improv.
Lots of improv.
Lots of improv. We sort of we blocked out like the basic structure, like, okay, so here this happens and this happens, this happens. So we would go into every scene knowing loosely what we needed to cover, but without there were very few dialogue, Jim, blah blah blah, host, blah blah. There's very little of that. Most of it was and part of that was just the timeline, because Zac was turning over his house, and in addition to us making a movie in this house, his family was also trying to turn over the house. So we were like, all right, we have a week. We need to start filming next week. So okay, story structure, good enough. All right, and it was a bit of a whirlwind that way.
What was the writing class that you were doing at the time?
I had just finished a screenwriting class by Screenwriting University, Hal Krosman, and it's quite good. And because it was the pandemic, they released a class on contained scripts, so minimal characters, minimal locations, maximum character development, and intrigue or tension. So I had just finished that. So when we kind of came up with this idea of all right, he's kidnapped and this is what happened, I was like, oh, this is fresh in my head. I went to my notes from the class, and I kind of went, okay. And it's funny because people use AI to write, and it's kind of AI doing it for you. But with a good screenwriting class or a model, there's the Save the Cat model, there's the Contained Scripts model that I took. It's almost like an AI program where you take your story and you run it through this story structure, and you're like, okay, so what's my first layer of reality? Yep, that would be this. Okay, let's put this here. What's my second layer of reality? Okay, so that's when we reveal this, or the Save the Cat method, where you're like, all right, so first 10 pages, we're establishing Jim. Okay, so that's this. You're doing it with your own brain, not AI, but you're still taking a story and running it through a structure model. So I literally just finished this class, and that helped the speed of what we created.
It was 3 days back and forth. You'd send me a version of the document. I'd send it back with maybe this scene doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'd send me another one and find it I think it was the night before you sent me the final draft.
Yeah. Much of which was this scene, they talk about this, then this comes up, then they talk about this, then this comes up.
Yeah.
But the great thing about filming found footage style is that everything would be set up. We would run the whole scene, and if that was the take, then we'd have all of our angles and we just, cut it up. But some of our really long scenes, there were moments where we were just both just right in the pocket, and we would do it once and we'd be like, oh my god, we got it, let's move on. Versus the torture scene, it took 3 times to really get to the emotion of the piece. And the points where he's like slapping my back, and like there are people, particularly in the BDSM community, who are like, I don't know, he's reacting a little hard, like that's, oh my god, that hurts so much. I don't know, that's not that bad. And I'm like, okay, number one, he's terrified. That's my justification. There's the emotional pain of this as well. But the real reason that I was reacting like that is because we had gone through 2 takes of this already, with Zac actually impacting my back with like the riding crop and the flail and all these things. And so by take 3, like I was really sore. By the end of take 3, I was like, there was broken skin and little bits of blood dripping in several parts of my back.
Yeah, your back was a bloody mess. I posted a video of it on Instagram a little bit ago.
Yeah. So he's like, and I'm like, that's because
it's so raw.
Yeah. Also, funny story, the staple gun, and he puts staples in Jim's back. So obviously we took the staples out. I didn't have real staples in my back as an actor. But what we didn't realize is that the way a staple gun works is that this hammer comes out and pushes the staple into the thing, and the hammer extends past the lip. So the staple gun hammer was still like jabbing into me and literally drawing blood. So it was
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Michael, I just want to say here in a public forum that I really appreciate you and thank you for everything you did in this film.
There were times when I wondered. Zach's like, all right, time for another take. But no, I do think that partly because of the timeline, we didn't have time to like choreograph stunts, and partly because, it was all this long takes with found footage angles. It did make sense, and it did make the performance better.
Definitely. Yeah.
So what would you say was the time frame from start to wrap on the entire thing?
It was 8 days 2 days of writing, 6 days of shooting, and then I edited for like 2 years after that.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So main production itself was really fast.
Usually see that with found footage movies where, we've interviewed some directors that did it in a weekend, and some do it over a course of a week or 2 weeks. So it's usually really short. But what I also noticed too, like you mentioned, there's a lot of improvisation because you start with a general idea, but then you get into it, you start going different directions because this would work better in this scene than what we thought originally. So I think that's very cool when it comes to found footage, that a lot of it is very improv. So
yeah, I think it lends itself more to a structure of the main points rather than set key dialogue. I think especially with some of the more independent found footage movies that a lot of people tend to shit on is that the acting is what comes across as the most disingenuous part. And I think you can sort of tell that a mile away. I've seen many people refer to specific found footage movies where the main complaint that they had was, the acting was so bad. I guess because the acting didn't seem realistic, as if they weren't acting. And Jim's Room is a great example of the opposite of that, where it doesn't come across as if there's any sort of acting at all. It looks as if it's a genuine found footage that's been captured by the host. He's rigged these cameras, and he's brought Jim in to mutilate and claim him as his own.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for saying that. I'm glad that worked out. That was definitely a big priority for us going in. Like the take that we did 3 times, the torture take that we did 3 times, was because the first 2 we watched it back and we were like, it's a little bit acting-y. We're kind of actors still. We need to do this again. We tried really hard to dive deep into that.
This was also like my first time really diving into acting on camera. So it was, thank you. I'm glad that it didn't come across too fake.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And it definitely adds to the mystique. I did one thing I noted when I was when I was watching this, I tend to scribble down some notes, and the fact that you don't see the person's face, and we were both joking that it's a supreme red flag that he asked for his name, and he's like, "Oh, you don't need to know my name."
Yeah.
But like that's such a red flag that like that for me, I'd be out the car. But in the situation that Jim is in, like it makes total sense. It's like, okay, yeah, he sort of realizes, yeah, this is weird, but I need to go. Like I'm trying to better myself here, and
Yeah. Well, and that's something that we really we also really focus on. Is just like from the interviews with Canadian Love, we realized that a big part of suffering from homelessness is the desperation, and also you get used to not being treated the same as everybody else. You get used to kind of being looked down on.
right.
So, he's like, well, what's your name? And the guy's like, you don't need to know that. And he's kind of like, oh, okay, I guess, I don't get to know your name because we're not equals because I'm homeless.
Right.
So that was something else that yeah, totally.
Yeah, and unrelated to that, but I one thing I wanted to know, and this is because I actually took a painting course in college for a little bit. Did you have any prior painting experience when you were going into the painting of the house?
Not a lot.
I just want to say that having Michael paint that room was a mistake because I had to paint it again.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not a painter. I just played one in Jim's room.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I took a brief painting and decorating course many moons ago, and the first thing I thought was, "Wow, this technique is something else."
That's fair. That's fair. It's funny
But
because
it was realistic.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, Jim. Jim probably didn't take a painting course either.
Yeah.
That's funny though because everybody notices different things based on their experience, and it's kind of great and lovely that you took that class. So you watch the movie and you're just like, wow, Jim's painting is woof.
Oh, this guy has no experience painting. It's like when you twist the truth on your resume. Oh yeah, I can do that. I did that. Yep. When that's not the case.
Yeah. Well, note to self, I'll need to get better at painting.
Well, if you're going to be a painter, I didn't stick around long enough, so I mean, I can't really judge. But I had some lessons, a little bit. It was mainly painting a room and putting up wallpaper. I did not like putting up wallpaper. It is the most uncomfortable, disgusting, and frustrating thing that you'll do if you're ever decorating.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the paste, man. It's the paste. Disgusting.
Just find yourself stuck to the wall halfway through. You're just stuck there.
Yeah.
Calling for help.
The paint
Wow.
was good though. Yeah.
Okay.
But there was, to be fair, there was something I did notice where like you were when you were going around the edges and stuff. It was pretty good. It wasn't the worst I've seen. There was people in my class that done far worse, and they were being taught. So kudos to you for that. That was
Okay,
good.
thank you.
Good
Thank you.
attempt.
Reviews on Michael's renovation skills. Not the worst that John has seen.
Yeah.
Did
I
get
do it.
paint on the carpet.
Did get paint on the carpet. That was another improv moment. And then when we called cut, I was like, Zach, I'm actually really sorry that I got paint on your carpet. And he was like, okay.
They knocked $20,000 off the asking price for that.
No, they did
They-
not.
No, that's not true. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have lied to you. I apologize.
Daddy gave you a stern look after.
Yeah. Whoa, Daddy.
There's a stern talking to.
That's the real reason I beat the shit out of you, Michael.
Wow. Wow.
You didn't write the script. I did, and it was for revenge.
Oh, plot twist.
Oof. Suddenly the shock collar makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, the shock collar was quite a, no pun intended, it was quite a shock when that came out.
Nice.
Especially with the watch, it was like everything was very, from a story perspective, everything was very very much planted in a way that puts Jim in this compromising position. The subtlety within the small key things, like I think there were sunglasses with like the duct tape that were under the sink.
Yeah.
And then the watch, and it turns into a shock watch. Where was the idea for that? Is that like an actual thing that you just sort of came up with, or had seen it anywhere? Or
I had recommended the shock collar for use to Michael when we were like spitballing ideas, and the watch was something that came from his brain.
Yeah,
very James
this
Bond.
is a way to hide it.
Yeah, it is. It's very hidden in plain sight. Like it's such a seems a genuine way of him to try and give back to Jim, but also still keeping a leash on him, like a grooming process, definitely. And then turns into this weapon, this James Bond style.
Yeah, and I mean Zac did have a real shock collar, the one that was on Jim's neck.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So we looked at it and we were like, okay, could you hide this in a watch? Yeah, if you knew what you were doing. And then, so then the shock collar, we were like, the first couple of times that we performed the scene, we had it on my neck on Buzz. And Zac was like, I don't know if your performance is fully embodying being shocked.
It was Michael, I don't know if you've ever been electrocuted before.
That's right. And I said, that's correct. And I would love to keep it that way.
And I said no.
So then I agreed to like try it, just like I was like, all right, this take, we'll do it for real. There's only a couple of shocks in it, and I hated it. But it did improve my performance. And then afterwards, we switched it back to Buzz because I asked to please switch it back to Buzz, but also because I realized after the shocking, like we called a cut, and I was like, this sucks. I don't ever want to be electrocuted again. And then I looked down and I realized that my feet were in water and chained with metal. And I was like, wow, okay, this seems dangerous. I don't know anything about electricity. I'm just an actor.
Jeez.
But I've heard that water and metal are like things that you shouldn't play with electricity. So then we turned it back to Buzz.
But he's okay. And
yeah,
no lasting damage.
The occasional tick.
And we won't do it again.
I probably won't. And then Zac and I do this really this silly sketch show. So then Zac's birthday gift to me the year after we filmed was that he dressed up as a birthday clown, and we did this video where he was wearing a shock collar and gave me the remote and would try to entertain me, and if I wasn't entertained, I could electrocute him.
You
cute.
shocked me a lot more than I shocked you, for the record.
True. Well, you handed me the remote. I don't know.
I also, yeah.
I am not entertained.
That's literally. He gave me a little throne and a little crown. I felt horrible, but also it was really fun.
I'm sure.
I think it's still one of the best videos we did for that channel.
There you go.
Brilliant. Maybe I'll get the link off you. We can use that for the promotional material for this episode.
Sure.
I wanted to do an ad that was like for the using on the Schmucks socials, that's the name of the channel. I wanted to do like, so you like this? And it's Michael shocking the shit out of me and beating the shit out of me. And then you might like this, and it's Jim's room clips of, whatever.
being whipped and shocked and tied to chairs.
Yeah.
You're going to love this.
I don't think Schmucks is kid friendly. I mean, Jim's room definitely isn't. But
No. Definitely not.
So in this entire, production, you do see that there is a handheld camera involved. But I'm curious, with the cameras surrounding, getting the different angles, what type of cameras did you use? Were they just kind of security cameras, spy cameras, things like that?
We used the main security camera was Logitech webcam, this C920. I just did TikTok about this, so I'm trying to remember. And then we used, that one.
Oh,
We
what are you
used-
doing in your basement, John?
Oh, yeah. I don't think this works anymore. But yeah,
It's funny you pulled it out and Zach, said the C920 because at work I got a whole stock room with about 15, 20 of those webcams. I do like IT service desk, so we've got a whole stock room of different keyboards and webcams and all that stuff. So looks very familiar.
Yeah, fair.
Then we also used I was on the latest Samsung Galaxy at the time, and we set that up to see how that did. And then we had a GoPro Hero 4.
That sounds right.
Canon Rebel T6i was the main host cam, and we also, in the scene where in Nabil's room, we used the Canon 7D as just a static cam.
Interesting.
I think that was all of them. Yeah.
I mean, my knowledge of cameras is very limited, like my knowledge of electricity.
Yeah.
But it's super cool to still see because I don't know like every either model of cameras that you use when it comes to like webcams and technical stuff on computers. I'm more familiar with that, but it's always interesting to see which different cameras were used and how they were used for different angles, things like that. Talking to other directors and stuff, some have used Samsung Galaxy 6, for example, or spy pinhole cameras, nanny cams, things like that. So everyone's different in their style of shooting and what they use to capture everything. So it's real interesting to hear about that.
And I think with the advancement of cameras nowadays, like especially with like Apple and Samsung and all that, like they can shoot in 4K, which is insane. You have like a very decent camera in your pocket, so it's definitely something to for filmmakers nowadays. It's definitely something to push the boundaries. I'm fairly certain that the new, I don't know if you guys have been following, but 28 Years Later is the highest budget movie to be filmed on a smartphone, and the majority.
They shot that one as well on the smartphone.
It's just coming out this
That's
year.
crazy. I knew the first one was on a whatever iPhone it was, but it's crazy that they're still doing it.
Yeah, this one they had like this insane, like there was a picture of it that got posted online of this like insane camera rig, and like the main point was like a very like high end Apple like iPhone, like the highest Pro Max Plus Z40 version or whatever it is nowadays. But
there were some double maxes in there.
There's double max, max squared. But yeah, it's just insane the amount of technology and filmmaking equipment that is in your pocket.
There's literally no reason these days to not start if you want to start. It's just so accessible now to new filmmakers.
And with that, one thing I was curious about was if there was any particular challenging either scenes or parts or moments that you had while making this film. Was there any that stand out?
Oh, well, okay, I'll go first. So this one time we got there to start filming.
Day one,
yeah. And day one we got there, and for some reason the room we were going to film in was locked from the inside, and we couldn't get into the room. So I had to, we got out a ladder, and I like climbing things, so I climbed a ladder and like took off the screen and essentially broke into Jim's room, which was funny because like I was dressed as the character because we were going to film, so it looked like a homeless man was breaking into Zach's house. Yeah, but I got us in the room, I got us through it. It was okay.
That's insane.
Very cool, very cool.
Honestly, that was the story I wanted to tell too.
Oh, Zach, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay, Michael. I forgive you.
What else? I mean,
we did a lot. There was a lot, I think after we did the third take of the torture sequence, and that was like 15 minutes each, and we were set up to film like the rest of the night But just the physicality in that scene, we both just were like, no, we're not doing this. We tried shooting one of the bathroom scenes, and you were like, I'm not pissing right now, but two, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
We were just both so worn out from that scene, you know?
Yeah, especially you, Zach, because it's really hard hitting someone when they're tied to a chair.
It is. I was sweating buckets. I'm also fat, so there's that. But
no, it was a lot of physical energy and a lot of emotional energy, and yeah, that was an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. With the setup that you had, was there any sort of camera challenges or any like behind the scenes things or that were caught that you didn't see as valid for the story at the time that you wanted to tell and kept that? Was there anything like that happened?
I've got two for the bathroom. Zach, do you want to say one of the bath? Oh, and Zach, you should say the one about the dick.
Oh, the dick.
Yeah.
You go ahead and do the bathroom story first. We'll tell the dick story after.
So the bathroom one, there's two. First of all, I mean, the simplest one was that the camera angle and where I was standing. The first time we filmed the take, I was actually peeing, and you could see
everything.
Everything. Poor Zach.
I pulled the footage up after, and I've never seen another man piss.
Really?
But now I have.
I've seen all kinds of men piss.
I have never watched urine come out of another man's wiener.
Well, now you are a man.
Okay.
It was a coming of age moment. We had a really cool thing for the bathroom where we were gonna have a special little camera hidden in under the sink, so that when he goes to open the cabinet doors, we see really clearly the picture of Nabil and the picture of the glasses, and Jim reacting to the glasses, and it was all going to be crouched. And then it just wasn't working, so we ended up scrapping that, and then we just adjusted the blocking so that I would just like pull it out and then stand up and then react.
Right.
And then I actually have two. The first one is the fuck room story.
Oh yeah.
We filmed a whole section of the film after I yelled at you about the pills, but before the food is where it was going to take place, where I left to go get food. And so Jim decided to start wandering around again, and he found a room full of like chains and the whip and stuff. And then his reaction was just kind of like, oh, okay. And he closed the door and walked away. In editing, we kind of felt that like it hit too many of the same beats that we hit. Jim didn't need to leave the room again, and it didn't really add anything to the final product. But the dick scene, so you know the scene, the blowjob scene.
Yes.
So we had a prosthetic. We had a dildo in my pants. Because I did not want that man. I did not want Michael touching me inappropriately. So he unzips my pants and he reaches in and he starts fishing around. He can't find the dildo because it has fallen down my leg a little bit. So he grabs the real wiener. And I kind of like shift a little bit. It was the take that we used. And Michael, he realized and then like went back to fishing and grabbed the right one and pulled it out and everything.
Yeah. So if you're just watching the scene and you're like, how long does it take to pull out a cock? That's why. Because I almost pulled out the real one. And then it was like, oh no.
I will also note, first time having a man touch my wiener. A lot of firsts on this film.
Wow.
Yep.
Quite a harrowing experience.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, that must have taken your working relationship to the next level.
I mean, we had already we did an interview show together, and we were doing a sketch show, and we'd done some shorts. So we had already, and we have this core team of Zach, his wife Lily, and our friend Siobhan, who does a lot of camera stuff as well. And so the four of us did Canadian Love. The four of us did and are doing Schmucks. So we had already been through like a fair bit, but it was like episode here, episode there. And then this was just like, now you know each other. It's amazing that they still hang out with me after, to be honest.
I think I also touched your wiener.
Did you?
Why
did you do this?
we fucked up a little bit. We shot all of the painting stuff with the pants before we shot the stuff of him entering the house. So the white paint was all over the red pants. And so we still needed to film the beginning of the movie. And so Michael and I went to the backyard, and I took out a bottle of acrylic paint, and I painted him, and the brush was taking too long. So I had to get my hands in there, and as I'm working around the crotch area, he decides to mention that he's not wearing underwear. And I have just been patting his bare wiener for a hot minute.
Not bare. I had the pants on.
Yeah, okay. Basically bare. Those pants were really not it.
I don't remember why I was not wearing underwear. I don't remember why I made that choice.
You forgot to put them in my dryer, I think you said?
Maybe I was just super in character.
Why did you need to put them in my dryer?
I don't know. They were probably wet from the waterboarding scene.
True.
Oh yeah.
But that is actually kind of a cool detail where like when all of the scenes at the beginning with the exteriors and him entering the room, those pants have been repainted with red acrylic paint to match their pre-painting form when the paint got on them.
There you go. There's an Easter egg.
Yeah. That's
I don't know why we decided to do it while you were wearing them, though. Like, I could have just taken them off of you and not taken them off. That sounds worse.
That does sound worse.
Okay,
yeah.
let's backtrack.
Underwear.
Do you have any more questions?
So to sum it up,
lots of
both
wieners.
actors touched each other's dick, and that was an aspect of filming.
Yeah,
a lot of firsts in this movie.
Yeah, a lot of firsts. It all happened in Jim's room, so
hopefully lasts as well.
This obviously is now being distributed through Terror Films, which has a long history of other found footage movies. What was the experience like of working with them? What was the sort of process like from the back end to get Jim's Room into their hands and out to the public?
So I knew them beforehand. I loved the Hell House series. Some of my favorite found footage films out there. And Taking a Deborah Logan was really good. And so I was already aware of them. I knew their little slate at the beginning of movies. And then I got an email one day. And it's like, hey, it's Joe from Terror Films. Saw you had a film. You want to send over a screener? And I was like, well, yes, I do. And it was like 3 years of it. Like, it's a really weird film, so it didn't get into many festivals. We got turned down by a couple other distributors. And at that point, I think we were kind of thinking it was just going to die the slow YouTube death.
Right.
As other indie films starring Michael Masurkevitch have done.
So when I got that email, I was like, holy shit, like I respect these people going into it. Like I know their films, I know what they've done. And like I was hyped. And then we got on a call like a week later, and he was basically like, yeah, we love your film. We want it. And we want to put it out to the world. And we were like, hell yeah. And then I took way too long getting them the deliverables, which Terror Films representatives, if you're watching this, I apologize profusely.
It was a real learning experience.
Yeah, we've never done anything like this, and like my workflow didn't work for how I needed to deliver it to them, and I had compressed everything into one, like all the audio tracks into one track at some point in the years I was working on it. It was just really stupid of me.
Yeah.
And I know better now.
And then they were like, hey, we need like, can you send us like the musics and the audio tracks and the Foley as separate pieces? And Zach was like, no, I cannot do that.
And then I did it. I
And then
still
he did.
it.
He,
I had to rebuild the film, but I did it.
yeah,
Wow.
That's crazy.
yeah, it was an ordeal. You did good, Zach.
Thank you.
No, I mean it's great. You're in there with some of the best found footage that there is. You're in great company. Hell House, of course, was a great success. Taking of Deborah Logan, another favorite. So yeah, it's congratulations. It's a very respectable production company that definitely puts out some great stuff. So you're in. They're all in great company, as I should say. They're in great company with Jim's Room. So congratulations on that. Seriously.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Absolutely, guys.
Super appreciate that.
For sure. Another thing I'm also curious of is if you guys are aware of Found TV
Yes.
Yes.
and your thoughts on that, and who knows, could we ever see Jim's Room on there maybe?
I think I'm allowed to say that it's going there. They commented on our Reddit thread about the film, saying that it's going to be on there soon. I don't have a date yet,
Oh, wow.
but it will be on Found TV. Just a place to find. I love found footage in general, so just a place to find it all. I love it.
Also, the guy, one of the guys who runs it is Louis Lavela, who's just this great dude. He's at all these film events. He and I hung out at Blood in the Snow, and he's just a great guy.
Nice. Yeah, they're a couple of Niagara Falls natives, is my understanding, or Niagara region is where they are.
Sounds likely. Yeah.
So yeah, it was funny again when we started doing this. A lot of things were happening with Found TV sort of coming into the spotlight a lot more.
Yeah.
So we got to at least converse with them a little bit. Where it's definitely, I think, because of the popularity of it, I think it's maybe something that we'll look at, maybe getting them on here at one point to talk about it. But it's just we love it so much. It's such a great thing that they're doing for this particular genre, because it's one that definitely doesn't get a lot of credit, and there is some genuinely scary, creative, just fantastic movies that comes out of this style of filmmaking.
Mhm.
And it's just incredible the work that they're doing there. So we always like to point that out. But that's amazing that Jim's Room's going to be on there. For me, it's really just a matter of time. It was always a matter of time, because after seeing it, like it had to get on there. So congratulations on that as well.
Thank
Yeah, I
you.
appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, we're pretty excited. It was definitely like, the roller coaster whirlwind of getting it made. Like it wasn't expected that it would do well. I don't know. I'm very happy about how it's doing, and I went in super jaded, and I was like, oh well, yeah, another slow YouTube death, and then we're just really excited and grateful for how it's doing.
Yeah, it's great. And is there ever going to be either any plans for you both to do any more found footage, or potentially a sequel for Jim's Room down the line? Is there any thought on that?
We
Wow.
have a sequel kind of in the talks. Michael and I have been spitballing some ideas.
Nice.
Yeah.
And we're talking about shooting a found footage Bigfoot hunting film, like horror comedy Bigfoot, next year or summer, or whenever we decided on when we had that conversation.
Do idiots bring cameras to go try to find Bigfoot? That's the premise.
Yeah.
Could go wrong.
It only exists because I have size 18 feet, and I really just want a line where it's like, don't shoot me. I know you'll get confused with my big old feet. I'm gonna workshop that line a little bit, guys. It's not gonna be how it is in the final film. I swear it's gonna be better.
Well, yeah, we'll tweak it.
Well, I look forward to that one. I'm always a fan of anything cryptid, or aliens. So yeah, I'm down for it.
Nice.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I guess without saying too much, the idea for the Jim's Room sequel is that Jim has recovered from the experience and sort of put his life back on track. But the host has been keeping an eye on him, and the two collide again.
That'd be real interesting to see, because the way that it left off, the way that it went down, I mean, why wouldn't we see them come back together, right?
Kind of like a Batman Joker thing, where like the host
Right.
is just so obsessed with Jim, he's never gonna let him go.
He's the one that got away.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I was just thinking the same thing. He's the one that got away.
Yeah.
I was curious. So maybe I missed this in what I was watching. So the friend of Jim's, the one that got into the car, Zach's character, when he's getting into the car, she got into the car beforehand, and I want to say her name was Reba, right?
Reba, yeah.
Yeah, Reba. And I was curious, how did she know whose car to get into, what had happened, things like that? Maybe I missed that part of the movie. I had walked away on a quick restroom break because we were watching it at the same time. And he said something about Reba, and I was like, Reba McEntire's in this movie? As I'm walking away to go to the bathroom real quick. So, as soon as he said Reba, Reba McEntire goes off in my head. I was like, shit, she's in this movie? What?
If only. What a cameo that would be.
Maybe in the sequel.
Right?
Yeah.
Ooh.
In the sequel, we'll have Reba played by Reba. So it's sort of subtle, but he's at the beginning when he's offered the job, we've just seen him like sharing his sandwich with Reba,
Right.
and and sort of the implication was that like that happens, and then the host pulls up, and Reba's kind of like, hanging back, but kind of like watching the interaction. So
Okay.
Jim also drops a little wave as we're driving past the main plaza we shot in.
Oh, okay.
It's like a very subtle, just like a little like bye.
Yeah, I always took it as, especially with the fact that we know about Jim's friend, of course, is part of this, and what I took from it is that he's not being very careful. He's obviously driving around in the same vehicle, and potentially, especially people that are from the area, like you pick up patterns, and you notice people who are you're extra vigilant, and picking up people that are coming around again and again would stand out, especially if the same car is being seen, and Nabil's no longer around, and then Jim's no longer around, but in both cases, maybe the same car's been associated. So I thought it was just Reba saw a chance and took it.
Definitely a lot of that in there too. Yeah.
That was my interpretation of it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, retrospectively, now that you guys are bringing it up, I'm like, oh wow, maybe we could have made her watching the car drive away a bit more explicit. But yeah.
I like the subtlety. I didn't notice that she waved and
Yeah, I didn't notice that either.
I'll need to check that out again and see if I can pick it up. That's real subtle.
And that's what's great about making it not so subtle, because it entices us to go back and watch the movie 2 or 3 times, because when there's movies like Hell House, for example, I watched that movie 30 times or better. Every time I watch it, I find something new. Like this last time, when the guy that's laying in the bed is talking and whatever, and they go into his room the next day, he's gone. I didn't notice the finger blood smear on his wall. Like it took me watching it 30 times to finally, notice that part. So, I feel like every time that I watch that movie, something new.
We wanted to try to do that where we could with this. There's a lot of time jumps, some deliberate time jumps that imply more's gone on than the audience has seen. And yeah, I hope people pick that up. That you don't see everything. The host didn't include everything for your eyes. There's like, in the scene where the host is giving him the drugs, and he's like, "Hey, take your shirt off, take your other shirt off, take your pants off." when there's like a 45-minute jump from he takes his pants off and he puts them back on.
Yeah, this sadism part of that sort of stands out, and obviously what we see later on is definitely that there's a sexual element to the host bringing Jim in.
I think it's cut out because I felt like it wasn't strong enough. But there is Jim spinning around in his underwear, and then the time jump happens. But the spin. Honestly, I just didn't want to look at more Michael than I had to.
Having already touched my penis by that point.
Yes.
Yeah, fair.
No, I also I love films with a really tight runtime. I love hour-and-a-half movies that I can sit down and just watch, and then I'm done in under 2 hours. These so many films are so long now, and Justice League, the Snyder Cut did not need to be 4 hours.
No.
Yeah.
If there was anything that I felt like really didn't add anything to the film, I axed it because I wanted it to be tight and fast. Even though it was a slow burn, I still wanted that slow burn to be fast. If that makes sense.
Right. No, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we spoke to Emil Strom. He made a movie called Winemaker. I don't know if you both have seen that, but
I have not.
it's one I've found. I recommend it. It's especially based on that. It's also a strict runtime. He wanted to make it a specific amount of time, and the subtlety of that, I think, adds to the story even more. I love it, and I'm always going to recommend it to people. So check that one out if you're looking for a found footage movie to watch that's in that realm, and it's a slow burn and minimal cast, shot on location in New Zealand.
I'll have to watch it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's great.
Sounds
Yeah,
awesome.
it's really good.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it was a premiere for Found. That
Okay.
one of the earlier premieres for Found TV. So it's been on there
Nice.
for quite some time.
Okay, this sounds very cool to check out.
Yeah, no, it's great. So good.
Yeah.
So good.
What's that
Yeah, he did a
winemaker?
real-
Yeah, it's called
Winemaker.
Winemaker. Yeah.
Winemaker.
Yeah, and again, it's very much a lot of the key points that you find in Jim's Room. I can see a lot of them in Winemaker as well. Minimal cast. One of the characters is more sort of devious than the other, and small location, sort of tight runtime, very very claustrophobic. It's all set in one main location, so yeah, no, I think you'll really enjoy it.
I if I may, I'm curious for you guys. So, We Found a Tape is obviously very found footage style focused. What brought you to that specific niche? What do you guys love about it?
As seeing a lot of these movies, you can tell that there's a lot of improv to it, but the filming style, the idea of it being from a camera, whether it's a cell phone, handheld camera, spy cameras, whatever it may be, it's always interesting to catch certain things in that raw moment. If it's an actual, you catch the realness of it in found footage, whether it's running from a Bigfoot in the woods to a haunted house that the doors are slamming or something's grabbing you by the leg like in Paranormal Activity and dragging you down the hall. I don't know, it's just something that's always caught my attention, and I've been a big fan of. One of my favorite found footage movies of all time is As Above, So Below. The way that they shot that movie, in the catacombs, they're going under different levels and all the spooky shit that happens along the way. I don't know, that movie is just one of my favorite movies to ever, out of found footage. So those are some of the reasons why that I enjoy it.
Solid film.
Oh,
Yeah, it's really good.
So good. Yeah, for me, it's a genre that I have appreciated for a number of years, and more so recently, in the last maybe 2 or 3 years, I've been watching a whole lot more than I have ever done through the likes of Tubi and stuff like that. Finding all these movies, I was on a really good kick of finding the strangest sort of niche indie found footage movies, and the more and more I watched, I was getting some good luck with some of the ones that I found. So made me inspired, and just the realism that it adds, it lends itself to make a more creative approach to a film that you wouldn't normally see in a Hollywood big budget movie. You're doing a whole lot more with a whole lot less, and I like that approach. And I think with that lack of resources being extremely limited, it really sets that restriction on you, and it helps to bring out your creativity.
Mhm.
I'm a musician in a past life,
Oh.
so I very much I'm into like the creativity, so things like filmmaking, and I was making YouTube videos at the time as well, and doing all of that kind of all lends itself to found footage, and my passion for it. I just love the creativity behind it, the way that it's shot brings you into that, as if you're really seeing this, you're seeing something that you shouldn't be seeing, and that's enticing as well. So
I love that. Yeah.
it's a genre that it doesn't, and the reason for us sort of making this podcast and such is mainly because we weren't seeing a lot of people talking about specifically found footage. It'll pop up every now and again. A lot of people were focused, and we were focused in our last endeavor of mainly just straight up horror movies from all different amounts. But I thought it would be easier to talk about found footage because I thought it would niche it a bit more. But when you actually start to dive into it, you find out that there's this massive back catalogue of different found footage movies that it's next to impossible that you'll never see them, all of them anyway. So that's
wild.
I love it. I love the realism. I love the creativity. You see some shots in these types of movies that you really wouldn't see in any other type of movie. So that's what draws me into it.
Yeah, I mean, I like what you guys are saying about how there's just something about it that's kind of like right there, and like it's kind of its own flavor, It's
right.
It's a slightly different approach to storytelling.
Yeah,
your way around it.
We were talking to James Ersted that made What Happened to Susie, and one of the conversations we had about that was that with found footage, it feels more like a punk rock type thing where it doesn't conform to the normal rules of a cinematic film. So really, it shouldn't work. But it's getting the resources that you have, loading in the back of a van, and going and playing a show for 20 people. Like that's kind of how the feeling of making a found footage movie would be, I would assume.
Totally.
Yeah,
It's
exactly
has that ethos behind it. Like, let's just get together, let's just fucking do it. Like that is another thing that I appreciate about found footage.
I just love that, like that vibe in film when you can just, in general, even if you're making like a traditional cinematically shot narrative story, my favorite times on set is when it's just I get to hang out with my friends, my best friends, and my wife, and we just get to have so much fun.
Right.
Like I've worked on a couple of union sets now, and it's such a different world, and it's still fun. I still love it. I still love what I do. There's a lot more like pressure on you to do the job when you're with your friends. You want to do the job because it's fun.
Right. Such a great way of putting it. If it's fun, then it's not a job. It's kind of how I would take that. So yeah.
I have a question that I ask everybody. It's just a fun, silly question. So it's movie night. You're going to sit down. You're going to watch a movie. What is your favorite go-to snack for watching a movie? It can be drink. It can be food. It can be a combination, alcohol, whatever.
So yeah, I mean, and it depends. I like the beer and pizza combo.
Okay.
I do like just popcorn with like melted butter on it. Amazing. Sometimes I pair that with Gatorade because the popcorn's really salty. And I also, if those are the ones I do. Like if I'm watching a movie with my kid or my family or someone, if it's just me, what I will sometimes do is like cut some green onions and cilantro and lettuce and some kind of cooked meat into a bowl of spicy ramen noodles.
Oh, interesting.
Eat that while I watch. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds good.
It's so good.
There's something very, very homey about a soup, whether it's a ramen bowl, an actual soup. There's something very homey about it that gives you that warm feeling inside, especially if you're going to go and dive into something that's going to make you kind of feel weird or, queasy or, scared or anything like that. It's that grounding that's going to keep you, whole throughout that movie.
Definitely.
Give me a case of Dr. Pepper, and I'm a happy little boy. Just
Oh,
love me some
fantastic.
DP, man.
Nice.
Wow, a case.
I mean, I'll survive on a singular can of DP. But, you know, if I'm sitting there watching movies, I'm winding down for the night, might have 2 or 3 Dr. Peppers, man. It's, you know, I live a hard life.
Yeah, I feel you on that one, man, because I'm a fan of like Pepsi Zero and Zero Dr. Pepper, so I kind of switch between the two.
Yeah.
When you're sitting down watching a movie, it's easy to get down to the 2, 3, even 4 range. You know, it's a hard life we live, so we got to enjoy the little things.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about beer, you know?
Yeah,
Halfway through you get to the end of the movie, and you're like, that was great. And then you stand up and you're like, woo! Oh, wow. How many empty cans are there on that?
Well, Michael, we know
Built
from
yourself a pyramid.
experience, a singular can of beer will get Michael wasted.
No, it's true.
A singular can of light beer
Wow.
will get
Oh
Michael
wow, okay.
plastered.
And you know what? I love being such a lightweight. Someone buys me one drink at a bar, and I'm like, all right, take me home. I'm here. Like,
Yeah.
You and I are kind of in that same realm. It'll take me maybe like 2 IPAs before, you know, I'm starting to stagger a bit. I don't drink too often, but you know, if I'm barbecuing on a Sunday outside or something like that, I'll have 1 or 2 just to, you know, I'm out there enjoying myself. So, but yeah, 2, 3 is the farthest I'll go, because at that point I don't want to be crawling with the barbecue in one hand back into the house. So
I've done the hot dogs, honey.
right.
Yeah.
One thing that David put me onto, which is a kind of a game changer, is air fried Twinkie.
Oh my god, that sounds amazing right now.
Yeah.
Oh, it was insane. It was so good. It was like slightly caramelized from the sugar, still fluffy in the inside, and slightly warmed up for the Twinkie cream.
That
Definitely
sounds
recommend.
amazing.
Lily, these guys are making me want Twinkies. Can we get some tomorrow?
Nice.
The any chance I get, man, I will try and experiment with my air fryer. I love it. If I feel like it can be air fried, I will do it. Even with cold pizza, like if you want to bring back pizza from the dead, you know, when you put it in the microwave, it's not quite the same. Put it in an air fryer for like 2 or 3 minutes, it gives it new life again.
Dude, you're making me so fucking hungry right now.
Damn. Yeah.
We like to experiment with different air fried methods. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Amazing.
If you need any recipes, we're your guys for that. For
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
I think you guys need a spin-off podcast called Air Frying Recipes.
Hell yeah.
No, we found an air fryer.
We found an air fryer.
That's not a bad idea.
Oh, that would be
like
so good. Well, thank you both for joining us. This was a blast. We loved the movie. Again, congratulations on all the success. I can't wait to see where it goes next. And anything else you're working on in the future, definitely let us know. Anything found footage related, we're all for it, and would love to have you guys back on again to talk about it. So thank you again, both of you.
Heck
Thank you so
yes.
much for having us.
Yeah, what a blast. You guys are both very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was great.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you on Found TV soon.
Yes.
Yes.
Have a wonderful rest of your night and stuff.
Yeah, you too.
All right.
You too, guys.
All right, take it easy. All right.
Later, guys. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.